The story begins with a moment of danger that instantly shifts the course of two lives. After a heated and humiliating confrontation with her ex-boyfriend, the woman finds herself in a vulnerable state, emotionally drained and physically unstable. In the chaos, she stumbles near the water and slips, unable to save herself. Just when everything seems lost, a young man named Nick notices her struggling and rushes to her aid. His quick reaction and calm presence save her life. As she regains consciousness, she finds him watching over her with genuine concern, a type of care she hasn't experienced in a long time. Nick isn't just a rescuer, he's gentle, attentive, and soft-spoken in a way that calms her storm. He checks her injuries, offers his jacket, and walks her home, insisting she shouldn't be alone in such a shaken state. In that short time, something unexpected begins to form between them. She notices how safe she feels around him, how his kindness feels pure compared to her painful past. Nick, on the other hand, becomes intrigued by her strength and underlying sadness. She tries telling herself it's just gratitude, but she can't ignore the warmth in her chest when he smiles. Nick tries to hide his feelings, believing she must belong to someone else or that she's out of his league, but his eyes betray him every time. This first encounter becomes the spark that lights the rest of the story. Two strangers meet by accident, yet destiny seems to pull them together. And although neither of them realizes it at that moment, this rescue marks the beginning of a bond that will challenge their pasts, test their hearts, and ultimately reshape their futures. Days after the rescue, Nick's mother, Mrs. Jefferson, meets the woman and instantly becomes fond of her. She assumes they are romantically involved and insists on inviting her to a family celebration. Nick tries to correct her, but his mother's excitement leaves them both speechless. The woman hesitates, feeling guilty for allowing the misunderstanding to grow, but the warmth in Mrs. Jefferson's eyes makes it difficult to refuse. She agrees to attend, not to deceive, but because for the first time in years, someone welcomes her with affection rather than judgment. Nick prepares her for the family gathering, coaching her through small details to make her feel more confident. Their chemistry grows as they rehearse little stories, share nervous laughter, and exchange glances that neither of them fully understands. On the day of the celebration, Mrs. Jefferson treats her like she's already part of the family. She compliments her dress, holds her hand, and introduces her proudly to relatives. The woman feels an unfamiliar sense of belonging, a soft, comforting feeling she hasn't known since childhood. But deep inside, she is torn. She is scared that the closer she gets to Nick and his family, the more painful the truth will become. She wonders how long this illusion can last, knowing that secrets always have a way of unraveling. Despite her fears, she is touched by Mrs. Jefferson's kindness. The mother's acceptance feels healing, a reminder that not all relationships are built on pain and betrayal. Yet this warmth also heightens her guilt, because she knows she's hiding a truth that could shatter their happiness. What started as a misunderstanding slowly becomes a fragile but beautiful connection, one she desperately wishes were real. As the celebration continues, cracks quietly begin to appear beneath the surface. Nick's father behaves coldly from the moment he walks in. He studies the woman with sharp, judgmental eyes that make her uncomfortable, though he pretends not to know her. She avoids looking at him, her heart pounding, hoping the truth won't erupt in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Nick notices his father's rude behavior and tries to shield her. He reassures her with gentle touches on her hand and comforting whispers. But the pressure builds as relatives ask invasive questions about their relationship, questions she and Nick weren't prepared for. The woman tries to enjoy the evening, but her mind keeps drifting to the secret she's carrying. She remembers her painful past with Nick's father, the manipulation, the heartbreak, and the humiliation she endured. She fears that if the truth comes out, Nick will blame her, even though she never knew they were related. Nick's father grows increasingly agitated, especially every time he sees the two of them together. His remarks become sharper. He makes comments about their age gap and hints that she may not be appropriate for his son. Mrs. Jefferson notices the tension but tries to smooth things over, believing it's just her husband's usual moodiness. the woman begins to feel suffocated. Every smile she forces becomes exhausting, every question feels like an attack. Inside, she battles between wanting to run away and wanting to stay beside Nick. The celebration, which started with hope and excitement, turns into a silent battlefield. The woman senses that her past is no longer hiding in the shadows, but preparing to reveal itself in the most painful way possible. The atmosphere turns explosive when Nick accidentally overhears part of a conversation between his father and the woman. The tension, the familiarity, and the hostility between them become impossible to ignore. Finally, the truth bursts out: the man she once loved, the man who broke her in pieces, the man she desperately wanted revenge on, is none other than Nick's father. Nick feels the ground disappear beneath his feet. His chest tightens as he tries to process the betrayal. He looks at her, searching for denial, for an explanation, anything. But her silence speaks louder than any words. She never intended to deceive him, yet the truth paints a picture that makes her look guilty. His father twists the situation in his favor, portraying her as manipulative, claiming she targeted Nick to get revenge. The father's lies push Nick further into heartbreak and confusion. Nick feels used, humiliated, and blindsided. All those moments he thought were genuine, the laughter, the comfort, the connection, suddenly feel like part of a trap. Even though deep down he senses her sincerity, the shock overwhelms his trust. Trembling, she tries to explain. She never knew Nick was his son, she never planned anything malicious. But the words fall apart as tears blur her vision. Nick steps away, unable to look at her. In that moment, everything breaks. The woman falls to her knees emotionally, realizing that her past didn't just destroy her life, it has now destroyed Nick's too. She watches helplessly as he walks away, carrying a wound she never wanted to give him. This revelation marks the most heartbreaking twist in the story. A love that blossomed beautifully collapses under a truth neither of them could have ever predicted. After the revelation, the woman becomes the center of blame. Nick withdraws completely, unable to face her or the truth. His mother is heartbroken and confused, trying to understand how such a disaster unfolded so suddenly. Meanwhile, Nick's father uses the opportunity to portray himself as the victim, twisting events to protect his reputation. The woman feels like she has lost everything. The one person who made her feel safe and valued now sees her as the source of his pain. She isolates herself, unable to confront anyone. She replays every moment she spent with Nick, wishing she could erase her past to keep him in her life. Her guilt consumes her, not because she did anything intentionally wrong, but because her existence in their lives triggered a conflict that shattered their family. She blames herself for hurting Nick's mother, who genuinely loved her. She regrets staying silent, regrets not leaving earlier, regrets ever allowing herself to hope for happiness. In her loneliness, she packs her things, deciding to leave quietly to prevent further damage. Her heart aches with the weight of lost love and shattered trust. The warmth of the Jefferson home, the laughter she shared with Nick, and the acceptance she felt from his mother, all now feel like a dream she was never meant to have. As she prepares to disappear from their lives forever, she struggles with the fear that maybe she truly ruined everything. She believes there is no fixing what happened and that her presence will only bring more pain. This chapter of the story shows her at her lowest, broken, alone, and convinced she is unworthy of love or forgiveness. Just when everything seems lost, a single act of kindness brings a spark of hope back into her darkened world. As she checks out of the hotel where she had taken refuge, the receptionist informs her that her bill has already been paid. Confused, she asks who paid for it, but the staff can only share the name, Mrs. Jefferson. The realization hits her like a wave. Despite everything, the heartbreak, the betrayal, the chaos, Nick's mother still cares about her. This gesture is more than financial help, it is a message of compassion, forgiveness, and understanding. Mrs. Jefferson saw her pain, believed in her sincerity, and chose kindness instead of judgment. For the first time since everything fell apart, the woman feels a tiny flicker of hope. Maybe not everything is lost. Maybe at least one person still sees her truth. She sits in the hotel lobby, clutching the receipt with trembling hands, tears forming in her eyes, not from sadness, but from relief. She realizes that Mrs. Jefferson's kindness is a reminder that people can be good, that love doesn't vanish instantly, and that perhaps, just perhaps, Nick may one day understand the truth. This small act becomes a turning point. It doesn't magically fix everything, but it gives her strength to keep going. She decides not to run away from her life anymore. Instead, she will face her past, rebuild herself, and someday explain everything to Nick when the time is right. The story ends with the gentle glow of redemption, proof that even in the darkest chapters, kindness can open the door to healing.